We're speaking again with Matt Dalgleish from Thomas Elder Markets. How are you, Matt?
Hi, Ricky. Thanks for having me on again.
Not a problem. Now, Matt, looking at thomaseldermarkets.com.au, the Indian elephant in the room is your headline there. Aussie exports, get it India. Some pretty good wordsmithing there.
Look, it's an exciting prospect. It's something that's going to take some time to develop into some solid trade. But a country like India with such a big population and growing wealth is a fantastic opportunity for ag producers.
Now, I imagine it's when we're talking livestock, more of an opportunity for our lamb producers than our beef producers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, obviously, it's only a very small population of Indians that, in terms of percentage-wise, that.
Yeah, I think it's the Muslim population happy to eat beef, but generally speaking, not the rest of them.
There are some Christians there as well. So
yes.
I think there's about 200 million or so Muslims in India and about nearly 35 million Christians. So look, there's a population there that could be on a target list, I guess. But the real kind of immediate meat protein opportunity, I think, is sheep meat and goat.
Yep, and just more broadly, you're noticing some of the articles you've got up there at thomaseldermarkets.com.au. You see there's some good export opportunities for our livestock producers in other countries as well.
Yeah, that's right. Look, MLA have had, over decades, have been doing very good work with in-market staff that are helping to promote Australian products. So we have, for red meat, we have really diverse markets. And that's a real benefit to us, particularly when you have, like a year like this year, we've seen the US, the demand there has kind of fallen away a little bit. They're running at about 45% below the 5-year average in terms of volumes we're sending there. But, we've got the likes of South Korea that's been increasing over the last few years in terms of their appetite. And this season now China's kind of been chugging along reasonably well despite all the trade tensions. We're still, sending reasonable amount there too. So, that diversity of market really helps to protect us when we've got these swings, and each year one kind of destination picks up and another destination has a little bit of downturn, but it means that we still have fairly stable export volumes.
Whilst for our listeners in southeastern parts of Australia, the live export market's not as big a deal, but there was a bit of grizzle from animal welfare activists that there'd been some easing of restrictions on live exports. I imagine maybe could be one of the final acts of a coalition government. But how much of that is live export versus, I guess, refrigerated or other export opportunities for our livestock producers?
Yeah, the live export market, broadly speaking, is a smaller section. So it's about, for cattle, it's about 12% of the kind of turn-off each year is going into the live X space. And sheep's been reducing for live sheep. Obviously, there's been a lot of difficulty there. And the change to some of the regulations around that Northern Hemisphere summer moratorium. So the department's allowed a little bit more flexibility in terms of moving sheep through that hotter period of the year up north. But the live sheep trade has been declining. So, I mean, these are the lowest flows we've seen each year for a number of decades, going back, I think, into the 70s even. That's a bit of a concern longer term for the live sheep trade, just because of those smaller numbers. But, any change where they're allowing more opportunity is a good thing, and we'll just see if it can flow through to bigger numbers as the years progress.
Now, speaking of sheep and the work of Meat and Livestock Australia on their National Trade Lamb Indicator, we've got a bit of a downward plunge going on the market at the moment, sitting at 770 cents. What's driving that? Are the processors all got their act together and they've worked out there's plenty that they can buy on the market and it's driving down price?
The processors in the East Coast at least have definitely moved through that issue they had in January, February, where there was workforce and COVID issues. But curiously enough, over in the West, actually, they're having a few issues with their workforce now and the spread of COVID. So it has impacted some of the kind of weekly processing numbers in the West have dipped away. But yeah, in the East, I think what it is we are seeing those the sale yard kind of presentation of trade lambs is increasing. We've kind of had a situation where producers, I think, were able to hold on to their lambs from last season, because of the good season we've had. There was a lot of pasture around, and so people were happy to hold on to lambs and put on a bit more weight. But now it's get to the stage where those lambs have to come forward, otherwise they get too old, and they start to lose value if they get too old. we are seeing a bit of an increase to those kind of lambs being turned off, and that's put a bit of pressure on pricing.
Yeah, and on the cattle front, the Eastern Young Cattle Indicator, yes, it slipped below $11, but hey, it's still at $11 roughly.
Yeah, that's right. Look, it's generally speaking, for the first quarter of the year, cattle prices do tend to, historically they do tend to go a little bit sideways, and we've certainly seen that just ranging around that. It was hovering pretty much around 11.20 thereabouts, down to 11, back up again for the last few months. But this is the first time we've seen it breach below $11. But all things considered, it's still pretty solid, and that's probably going to be the case. Like I said, through to maybe the middle of the year, we might see a little bit of a creep up in winter. That's often the case, but I think the real price pressure will come towards the latter part of this year. And when I say real price pressure, I don't think it's going to be a crash, but I think we're going to probably start to see, just prices softening 5 to 7% or so. The other thing that's driving, I guess, down the EYCI has been the heavy steer is a bit of an indicator to look at, because obviously everything flows through to become a heavy steer at the end. That's the purpose, to get the cattle to a weight that are saleable for the slaughter process. And the heavy steer actually has been drifting off over the last few weeks, down from 4.50 cents a kilo live weight down to like 4.20 cents. So that's the first time in a while we've seen it down at that level. So that's probably taking a bit of the steam out of the younger cattle market as well.
Well, Matt, thanks for that detailed analysis. Really appreciate it. And as we say, it's thomaseldermarkets.com.au for the latest updates. Got that right?
Yep, that's it. Cheers, Ricky.
Thanks, Matt.